Hi, this is Takashi, and I want to present a little excerpt of an interview from CBC Radio on the show called Tapestry from about 12 years ago. This is Richard Holloway. He's a Scottish writer, broadcaster, and former Bishop of Edinburgh. He's talking about the parable of the Good Samaritan. And Holloway has maybe an unconventional take on the story. Now, I'm not a Christian, and I'm sure that there are Christians out there who would disagree with the interpretation that he presents. But I love the underlying message that he talks about. And so, without further ado, here's Richard Holloway.
The story of the Good Samaritan is a famous little story about a man who is travelling between Jerusalem and Jericho, and if you know the road, and I do, it's a winding, foreboding, rather dangerous road, probably as dangerous today as it ever has been. And we're not told the identity of this traveller, but he's travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he falls among thieves who leave him stripped naked, bleeding, possibly dead. And Jesus then tells us that along the road came a priest, and he saw what had happened. He looked closely, but didn't come to the aid of the man who'd fallen among thieves. He passes by on the other side. He's followed by a Levite, who is second in the pecking order. They both pass by on the other side. Next there comes along a Samaritan, a hated person in that particular religious system, an unclean person, a person of a rival understanding of God, and that Samaritan goes to the aid of the man who'd fallen among thieves. And it's very easy to misunderstand this parable, to think that the priest and the Levite failed in compassion, did not live up to their religion, were religious hypocrites, because their religion, we would think, would command them to go to the aid of the person who was in trouble. Not so, because their religion, in fact, was a religion that defined people in and people out. Some people as clean, some people as unclean. Some things you could do, some things you couldn't do. So the point of the story is that it was the best of their religious adherence that prevented them from going to the aid of the person who'd fallen among thieves. And an added irony is that the Samaritan who came along followed the same code. He shouldn't have gone to the aid of that person because he didn't know whether that person was a person he could touch, whether that person would render him unclean by going to his aid. What happened was, and there's a single explosive little Greek verb at the heart of the parable, his guts writhed within him with compassion, having seen what had happened, and compassion obliterated his religious code. And what Jesus is saying is that never ever hold a religion so tightly that when you turn round a bend in your life's pilgrimage and come to someone in need, you're not able to go to their help because your religion stops you doing it. Religions that stop you helping other people who've fallen among thieves are demonic. They're not of my Father, he's saying. Hold your religion, hold your politics, hold your ethnicity, hold your sexuality lightly, because far more important than any of these opinions is the need to help the person who's fallen into difficulties round in the bend in the road. And the lighter you hold all of these opinions, the more immediately you can go to someone's help. It's a devastating and revolutionary little parable, because what it does is it relativizes all religious systems. It says, yeah, they're important, they give us structure, they give us a framework, but if you hold them too tightly, you make them absolute, you make them idols. Compassion is the thing that overrides code. That still seems to me to be an enduringly powerful and revolutionary message for today, and it's the heart of what Jesus is saying to us in constant challenge to human rigidity, fundamentalisms of every sort. Jesus, with that single parable, simply blows them right out of the water.
Damn, son, Jesus is radical. Now, Holloway was talking about religious code, but I think this applies to all the systems, rules, laws, regulations that we live by. And now with social media, it includes computer algorithms. Yeah, we're just going to sail right past that topic. So even if you disagree with the idea that compassion obliterates code, which, let's face it, does sound a bit extreme, We have to agree that laws and rules are there to uphold principles, and one of the most important principles, I think, is compassion. Laws and rules must never be used as an excuse to support cruelty. Thanks for watching.